And it was just frankly breaking me. It was time to do something different to achieve my goals. Before I became a career ownership coach, I was a sales leader in the software and consulting spaces, either leading small teams or selling myself as an individual contributor for about 25 of my 35 corporate years. I knew it was time for me to consider alternatives to my career when I was going through yet another round of executive leadership changes. My chief revenue officer and another leader that had brought me into that latest business both left the business, and it had happened time and time again. I knew that this was probably not working out for me, and it was time to consider some alternatives to what I'd been doing for so long. I guess another thing was I really had to sit down and look at myself in the mirror and get clear about what my track record had been. I had had some major successes over the course of that career, but really it was feast and famine, major accomplishments, and then sometimes long periods of drought. Some of the changes that I experienced over the course of that time were acquisitions, layoffs, either happening to me or I was having to do it to others as a sales leader. And it was just frankly breaking me. It was time to do something different to achieve my goals. The biggest challenges that I encountered on my journey, and frankly, there weren't very many of them. The biggest one was probably mindset. It was time for me to challenge my own mindset about being an employee. And when I was really honest about that, I realized that I had been giving myself away for decades to help other people achieve their goals. My achievement of my own lifestyle and financial goals was really not going according to plan, despite my best efforts. I realized that there were a lot of things that were simply outside of my control, levers that I did not have within my grasp to achieve my own goals. My family was very supportive. They just wanted what was best for me. All of those assumptions I had about what anyone else might think kind of dissolved when I really focused on what my goals were. The rest was just logistics after that. Once I decided that my corporate career wasn't working out as the best vehicle for me to achieve my goals, I had no idea what was next. Serendipity happened. That's when I got to meet my career ownership coach, a gentleman by the name of Steve, who was incredible and just holding a safe place to help me explore some alternatives that I had never considered, including franchising. I wasn't the next tech genius that was going to come up with the next thing and bootstrap a business from the ground up, but the idea of buying into a business with a system that's ready-made, it's been validated for me to follow, it really opened up a whole new world that I never really saw coming. I had 1,000 different assumptions about what franchising was. Everyone thinks of McDonald's and brick and mortar and retail and things like that. The reality that I discovered with it is that there were thousands of possibilities that existed out there that didn't look anything like that at all. Everything from consulting work and solopreneur things like what I'm doing now to radically different businesses that make a difference in the world, for example. When we really started leaning into getting clarity about my goals first before looking at possibilities, that was a game changer for me. It wasn't with a specific outcome in mind. It was really about clarity about what's going to work best for me. And he was a great guide for me to find out what that really was. I looked at some home renovation businesses. I looked at all sorts of crazy things, again, just to compare and contrast what existed in different models, until one day we had the epiphany that what he was doing as my Sherpa on this journey of discovery was something that I was getting so much value out of myself that I decided I wanted to be in that business with him. He then handed me off to the team that presented me with the Entrepreneur Source possibility, and it was an absolute alignment. Really couldn't have done it without that sort of coaching and guidance. One of the other things that I discovered was that I was grossly ignorant about funding options and financial possibilities out there that was obviously going to be essential to know about before I could even pull the trigger on a business if and when I found the right one. That was a parallel part of the journey that he took me on, did some referrals to some funding partners that helped me realize that there were resources and assets available to me that I never ever had any idea existed. I didn't realize that I had the keys dangling out there for me to grab decades ago. I could have gained self-sufficiency and gotten on the path to achieving my lifestyle and financial goals much, much sooner than I did. That was a game changer as well, was that parallel funding path. One of the things I also had to be really honest about was my lifestyle. How was my corporate life for so long enabling or not the lifestyle and the flexibility that I really wanted? I really wasn't in charge of my life. I had to even request time off for vacations and all of that stuff. I mean, it almost seemed silly as a functioning adult to be that constrained by the whims of others. So one of the things that franchise business ownership has allowed me to do is to completely take control of my lifestyle, my time allocation to my hobbies, to my family, to skiing and all the other things that I like to do. I now have 100% control over all that. I request time off for no one. I make myself available for my clients abundantly, but I still have more time for myself and my pursuits than I ever dreamed possible. One of the things that comes up with my clients, and it certainly came up with me, was the idea of transferable skills. Am I even capable, and do I have the tools to be a successful business owner? What I realized was really two things. A, yes, I think most of us have way more transferable skills than we give ourselves credit for. So I spent some time kind of going into that assessment of what they really were. One of the beautiful things about franchises, though, is that sometimes a radical pivot is in order. Just because we've done something for so long and even maybe gotten good at it doesn't mean that that's the best path forward for us. When we are in survival mode, doing everything we can to help other people achieve their goals, think about everything that has to be included in that box. We have to have the right skills, abilities, strengths to be an ideal candidate for that role. We have to be a good cultural fit. We have to have the right leadership style. There are all of these parameters that go into making us a good fit in that world to achieve their goals. What I got the opportunity to do was to flip the script 100%. What about my goals first? Let me build the box with my own parameters and then go look at a model that fits that so that I can achieve my goals first. One of the things we should be looking for in business ownership, and especially franchising, is we are buying into a model. What are they going to do to enable me, to tool me up, to train me and give me skills and abilities that I didn't have before? I might even have a natural aptitude for something that I've never gotten to really scratch that itch on before. I need to be looking for models that are going to ensure my success through the proper type of enablement for me as an individual. And that's what I found in my business. Regarding the financials, I think all of us, as we're exploring what could perhaps be a radical pivot away from the perceived safety of a regular paycheck, is what about ramp up time? What about the financials? How profitable is this going to be? All of us have the same concerns. We come from a certain mindset. Now it's time to pivot. When I was in discovery, that was when I was starting to look at these various businesses. I went deep with the brands that I found the most intriguing. Part of that process is talking to existing business owners about what their experience really was and validating what does the pro forma look like? What's the ramp up time? And is this really, is this a risky thing, or can we de-risk that through information? So I took whatever that I learned on that journey and basically doubled it. I said, you know what? I don't even want to be thinking about income until it's appropriate. I want my head in the game of doing the best work I can for my clients. What I found was, even though I set enough capital aside to have 2x the runway that I probably needed on average, I had my first placement in about half that time. So as soon as I had my first revenue coming in the door, I knew that it was going to be okay and everything was going to be fine. I'm glad that I operated with an abundance of caution. No one should be operating under duress while they're getting something to launch. So I'm glad that I did, but I certainly didn't need everything that I thought I would. The longer that I spend as an independent business owner outside of the realm of corporate, the more satisfied I am with my decision. I can honestly say that there's not one single thing I miss about corporate at all. I still have a whole community within my brand, within the franchisor side, and a whole community of fellow business owners that are in this with me. Even though we're all running our own businesses independently, We rely on each other. We collaborate with each other to help us grow and thrive in our businesses, helping each other overcome obstacles as they approach. I've got an incredible amount of support and ongoing training through my brand that's just going to keep me upskilling all the time. Regarding all of that corporate red tape, I don't have it. I just simply don't. I don't have to hit any marks anymore. This is my business to run at my own pace, in my own way. All of these franchises do have curbs to operate within. We are in a system. Some have wider curbs than others. Mine happens to have the proper amount of latitude for me to run this business and to be responsive and flexible to my clients wherever they are on their journey. So no, there's not a single thing I miss about corporate life at all. There's zero chance I'm ever going back. If for any reason that the income wasn't what I expected it to be, I would just adjust my expense accordingly, because the lifestyle that this business enables me is so ideal. Yeah, there's simply no way I would ever go back to that life. All right, let's talk about risk for a minute. Every one of us have been taught that entrepreneurs are the risk takers, and it's risk reward, right? High risk, high premium. So that was the assumption going on. What I found was that was an assumption that needed to be busted. One of the ways that we can de-risk anything is with objective information. Get all of our questions answered. My coach took me through this process of getting every risk, every assumption, myth, and dogma out on the table so that we can just go on a journey of exploration and bring back objective information to inform that. If there are any risks outstanding, then we know we need to keep going until we're comfortable with what the answer is. I would probably consider myself a not remarkably risk averse. I'd say I've been willing to take risks in the past, but when I got into this process of discovery, I realized that I didn't need to be a risk taker. It was just about getting information and then making an informed decision accordingly. So when I really got comfortable with that, it didn't feel like risky at all. In fact, it was quite the opposite. When I really looked back at my W-2 life and realized how much I was not in control of decisions made above me, to go in a different direction, to do an acquisition, to rebuild a team, whatever it was, even if in those times when I was a very high-performing team member, decisions were made that affected my income, my livelihood, my health care, all the time, over a very long time. That is a far risky position to be in my opinion, rather than being an independent business owner where I have access to all the levers, or most of them. Let me talk for a minute about what I actually do with my clients as a career ownership coach. This really is about meeting people where they are. Make no assumptions about where they are, given what their resume looks like, their LinkedIn profile. I have to constantly challenge myself to put all assumptions aside and just meet the individual, the human being behind the facade or the resume or the career path, and just have an open, candid, safe place conversation with them about how is this working for you? Is this career path that you've been on this long meeting your goals or not from an income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity perspective? That is a binary question. It either is or it isn't. And if it isn't, if they have yellows and reds on their dashboard of goals, then we need to explore some options and go further. Timing is also incredibly perspective. People may not be in the right mindset to go on this journey right now. We hold space for that as well. They're welcome to come back at any time when things have changed, when they perhaps have been affected by yet another layoff that was completely outside of their control. So it really is about setting aside, frankly, as a sales leader for all those years, I had some really bad habits to break. Set aside the salesmanship, the convincing, the keeping people in the pipeline. That's not a thing for us at all. It's meeting them where they are honestly, taking them on the journey at their own pace when they are ready to explore these things. That is a human-to-human connection thing where I get to make a difference in people's lives like my coach did for me and take them on that journey. There is no convincing necessary. They will go on their journey when they are ready, and the door is always open for them to re-engage when they're really ready to give it some thought. Regarding the financial commitment it took for me to go on this journey and the financial commitment it takes for clients to work with me, there is none. Most people have a very hard time believing, at least initially, that this is a completely free service to them. I get paid very well by the brands for those clients that do ultimately place, but that does not come out of my client's pocket at any point in time. There's never a bait and switch. There's never another shoe to drop anywhere on this journey. I just make myself available for the clients that want to go on this journey completely risk-free, commitment-free, and financially free of any obligation. It's a beautiful system. Sometimes it takes people a while to accept that. Once it becomes clear to my clients that they're not going to pay me directly for any of my services that I provide to them, they often want to know what is in it for me. Well, there are two things. Obviously, I have my own lifestyle and financial goals to achieve. That happens when I help my clients achieve their goals. And only then do I achieve my financial goals. That's a beautiful thing. One of my other goals was for once in my life, I wanted to be in a career where I actually got to help people in a more tangible way than I ever could have selling technology and consulting services. Everything I did for 35 years was all about operational efficiency and saving companies some money or making companies some money, but I wasn't curing cancer. I wasn't helping human beings in a really tangible way. I wanted to do that. So for me, it was important to merge both my vocation with my personal mission to help people get out of unfulfilling careers and meet their own goals. That it might sound touchy-feely, but that there is very much a lot in that for me. Knowing that I get to get out of bed and help people every day is an incredible thing. I'm actually Sunday nights don't suck anymore. I have no trepidation about what's waiting for me in the coming work week. So it's helped me live my best life. That continues to unfold. I've had a lifelong dream of having an Airstream trailer and being able to travel and get off the grid and work from anywhere and explore this incredible country of ours. I finally pulled the trigger on that. So I'm probably going to be doing some of my coaching sessions over Starlink out in the middle of the desert in Moab or something. That's been something I didn't really realize that I could do this early as a business owner. So that dream is coming true, and countless others. I'm snow skiing more than I ever really thought I could during the winter time, and have even cut back to 4-day work weeks to enable that. Didn't have to ask anyone to do it. I just work harder the other 4 days, and it all works out just great. So yeah, my lifestyle and financial goals are all in the green. It's a beautiful thing. Is there anything I would have done differently? I have to honestly say the only thing I wished I could have done differently is started this journey 20 years sooner. Of course, that's all rooted in ignorance. I never knew that this path was available to me at all. Or otherwise, not only the path of being a franchise business owner, but how to fund it. If I had known much sooner in life, I would like to think I would have pulled the trigger, but maybe I just wasn't ready. It happened probably in perfect timing. Maybe I did need those extra years of corporate life to arrive at this place of awareness and being even open to the possibility. We don't know. It's entirely a hypothetical. There is absolutely nothing I would have done differently in terms of me landing in this business. The process worked perfectly for me. I looked at all sorts of alternatives and really tried them on in earnest. And there are some great opportunities that really, for me, at the end of the day, it was the lifestyle bucket of goals that really made the difference in this business. This solopreneur thing really does give me the flexibility from the lifestyle perspective. Merge that with the ability to help people in a tangible way every day as part of that endeavor makes it the perfect business for me. It's actually the opposite. I would say the story just gets better and better. The support that my brand provides for me is simply unbelievable. So they are all oftentimes check in with me for feedback and everything else. And pretty much it's keep doing what you're doing because you're doing all the things. So yeah, it's been a perfect match. For anyone that's looking at their career, wondering if they're on the right path, if they're frustrated with the money they're making, the wealth they're building, the equity they're building, if that's a thing, and certainly the lifestyle that they're living, are they really living their best life? I hope that they will ask those questions from a place of real honesty and integrity, and just be honest with yourself if you're getting there or not. You might even want to question what getting there means and lean into that a little bit. I would encourage you to work with a career ownership coach. Of course, I'm biased. This is what I do. But we are not brokers. We are not here trying to close you or sell you on anything. We have so much integrity in our process to help you get clear about your goals. If you even go a few steps through the process and realize, you know what, I just want a better job, a bigger job, a promotion, more money, whatever, and W-2 really is the best path for you, we're going to celebrate that. But at least you took a minute to get clear about it. You're not going to be looking over your shoulder. And maybe that is the best vehicle for right now. It may change in the future, or maybe it won't. But we're not going to try to convince you that this is the right path for you. Work with a career ownership coach from TES if you have a heart to maybe explore some things you've never considered. We will hold space for you to explore this from a place of safety, free of commitments, for you to really know if you're on the right path or not.